Welcome to Bristol Bay Native Corporation's podcast series, Mug Up with BBNC. Mug Up is a term commonly used in the Bristol Bay region, specifically in the fishing community. It refers to getting together with friends and family for a casual gathering over a warm cup of coffee or tea. It's all about sharing stories, experiences, and connecting with one another. In this podcast, hosted by BBNC's communications team, you'll hear from BBNC employees, community leaders, and passionate individuals who are engaged in BBNC's mission of enriching our Native way of life. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mug Up with BBNC. My name is Anise, and with me is Kayla and Carmel.
Hello everybody, happy to be back.
And we are part of the BBNC communications team. So today we'll be sitting down with the 2024 BBNC Shareholders of the Year. And these awards are the BBNC Small Business of the Year, the Marie Paul Student of the Year, the BBNC Citizen of the Year, and the BBNC Elder of the Year.
So each year BBNC accepts nominations for each of these awards, and nominations can be made by individuals or organizations. The board reviews the nominations annually and makes their selection.
Yeah. Today we'll be sitting down with all of our shareholders of the year. So first we will be chatting with Tabitha Knell with Cloudberry Native. She's joining us virtually. Hi, Tabitha.
Hey Tabitha.
Hey Tabitha, welcome.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Okay. Brianna, I'm really excited to join the podcast. My name is Tabitha Knell. I'm the daughter of Steve and Sasa Peterson and granddaughter of John and Ineska Nanaluk from Manakotuk. I have three brothers, my husband, and I have three sons. They're aged 12, 22, and 24. I have two Yupik names. My name given to me by my Apashi. My grandpa is Junluk, and I'm named after his maternal Aunt Catherine Maud from Malaknagik. And I am also named Navip after Frida Lomack from Akiachuk. I was born in Sitka, where my parents were attending Sheldon Jackson College. My mom was the first in her family to go to college, and I lived in Manakotuk and Anchorage until we moved to Dillingham when I was in the first grade. Yifton was my first language, but I lost a lot of it when we moved to Anchorage. My parents were school teachers in Dillingham, and they're still teaching. And then my business is Cloudberry Native. I do primarily Yupik or Alaskan-themed jewelry and crafts, some gusbucks. It's the correct pronunciation.
So I ran into you at the BBNC annual meeting earlier this month, and I was wearing one of your old gusbucks that my mother-in-law gave me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's my favorite one. It's so comfortable, and I wear it all the time. Probably too much, but I love the gusbucks you make, and your mom also makes beautiful gusbucks as well.
Yes, and I believe we had Sasa on our podcast during the Language Summit.
Oh, yes.
That.
Oh, awesome.
That's so cool.
So, Tabitha, what inspired you to start Cloudberry Native?
I was thinking about that question, and I think I kind of just grew into it naturally. Like it was just a process. I think a lot of Native women tend to sell arts and crafts, and so it was just something that I was raised with. My grandma, Aniska, she'd make incredible grass baskets, and then she'd bring them to Dillingham and sell them at the bank. She also did a lot of skin sewing. My dad was a carving teacher at Dillingham High School, so I kind of grew up just around Native art. And he taught me a lot about Yupik art. He really has a passion for learning about Alaska Native arts and Alaska history in general. And he took over Sam Fox's classes after Sam Fox died. Sam Fox was a pretty famous carver.
Yeah.
And then my mom and my aunt also taught me how to bead. When I would make bracelets, my mom would sell them for me. And then she actually got me into making gusbucks when I was a younger mom. And so I kind of got into that, and that was my first foray into actually getting a business license and becoming legit. And I started selling online, and she would sell for me at craft fairs, and I did that for a few years. And I think I was the first one to actually make those popular double brush poly, the soft knit gusbucks that you see all over the place now.
Wow.
Well, Michelle Koenig actually started that. She made the ones with the stretchy sides. And I did guest books for a while, and then I wanted to do something that was a little more design oriented, like making things that I was interested in and being able to incorporate more art into what I was doing. So I kind of jumped into the laser thing without knowing much about it, really. I also wanted to make things that incorporated more like motifs of the Yupik culture. I wanted to do it in a new way. And my son actually took a class online. He taught me how to translate my work into computer design.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a couple of my designs are still his designs, but he got me started on computer design.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so it's been kind of a process, like learning as I go along, I guess.
Yeah, I love your earrings, like your story knife earrings. I bought a pair of those at the annual meeting, and then you just have really cool designs. So that's laser engraving, or what is that?
I usually I start with an idea, and then I'll do a sketch or a drawing. A lot of my designs, I'll convert them to an SVG. It's a readable file for the computer. I start out with that, and then I have a laser. I use primarily acrylic and wood. It cuts my design out for me, and then I do a lot of the finishing. Like I do resin, I do engraving, I do hand painting, and then beading. Yeah, I incorporate things like fur and salmon skins also. The laser doesn't do everything for me. It's just a part of my process.
Yeah, and very cool that your son helped you learn that.
Mm-hmm.
He did. Yeah.
Awesome.
He was hand-holding for a long time until I really got confident about it.
How long have you been running your business?
Gosh, maybe close to 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs?
So there's a Yupik saying, I hope I don't butcher it, but it's Jakuch Nerulichi Gasango Gnachi, which means work hard and don't be lazy.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think just learning and challenging yourself to get better at what you do, setting goals. I think as an entrepreneur, it is hard. It means that there's no guaranteed paycheck ever, really.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you put into it is what you get out of it. It's also really rewarding because you know that whatever you make, it's built on your own hard work and your dedication. And I really hope to see a lot more businesses like mine, especially in our area, because I think there's a lot of opportunity with the increase in technology, especially access to technology. I think it really opens up a lot of opportunity for people to learn new skills and to access markets that weren't available, when I started. When we were at the BBNC conference, I was talking with Apayu Moore at the BBNC annual meeting, and she was telling me how she's moved to this pretty remote village, but in the last couple of years, she's gotten Starlink. So she's able to do online design work, which I thought that was really cool. That, it doesn't matter where you are now. If you have that available, you can really access pretty much worldwide. I sell a lot of my stuff to Canada and over on the East Coast, people buy stuff from me, which definitely wasn't something that wasn't available, even 10, 15 years ago.
It's amazing to see how people and businesses can evolve even from, Igiagik, where Abayu is,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also too, don't be afraid to fail, just try new things. And even when you fail, you're learning things. Oh, and one more thing. Mm-hmm. So I remember when I was in school, I always used to complain about math, and I would say, I'm never going to use this. What's the point of this? And I use math every single day. I use a lot of math. So I would tell that to my younger self, that math is important. And also learning from elders, that's a big one for me. I feel like I'm kind of, when we were growing up, I feel like I was very kind of immersed in Western culture. I mean, my mom was a bilingual teacher, so that was definitely part of my growing up. But I feel like I'm still reconnecting with my Yupik identity. And I think learning how to be, learning Yupik ways. I grew up so much different, so radically different from my grandma, her childhood. And so understanding and learning, it's just a lifelong process.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that'll touch a lot of our audience as well. No matter what culture you are, it's so good to connect and to reconnect. And being inspired by our elders is a big part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Before you go, do you have anything that you would like to share to our audience?
One thing I shared in the speech that I gave was that I think a lot of Western culture tends to view Yupik culture as being static. and that our culture is alive, that when something is alive, it continues to adapt. And that's something that our ancestors did. They were incredible at adapting and to their environment, and we continue to do that to this day. You have a culture that is living. It's not static. I want to know about the things from the past, but I also am living in modern times. I remember when I was really young, I was making stuff for the Native hospital, and they said that they didn't feel like my stuff at that time was Yupik enough. But I read about Ron Sunungatuk, who's a real famous Inupiaq artist. He said that your art comes from who you are, and his specific quote was, "All world art, regardless of age, is based on a will to express. You portray art because you are a member of society and you interpret what is around you. While doing this, others may try to limit you, but you have no limits." So basically, what we make as Yupik people, it comes from who we are. I think it's just important to know that our culture is changing, but we are rooted in our Yupik traditions.
Well, where can people find your business?
I have an online shop, cloudberrynative.com. I'm not at AFN this year, unfortunately, but I also sell at a lot of craft fairs. I usually announce those on my Facebook page if I'm there. Yeah, I'll be at the Cultural School Christmas Bazaar. I think that's the beginning of December or mid-December. Yeah, I usually just announce them on my Facebook page where I'm at.
And your Facebook page is Cloudberry Native?
Yes,
Be sure to follow Tabitha at Cloudberry Native on Facebook and check out her amazing artwork.
Well, thank you so much, Tabitha. It means a lot that you joined us today.
Brianna.
All right, our next award guest is the Marie Paul Student of the Year Award. And this award is in honor of the late Marie Paul. Marie was a longtime BBNC board member as well as the Bristol Bay Foundation, previously known as the Bristol Bay Native Corporation Education Foundation board president. And Marie really was a champion for education, culture, and the languages of Bristol Bay. And so this award honors her. And the recipient of the 2024 award went to Robin Masterman. Robin, welcome to our podcast. Thank you so much for being here in person. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. My name is Robin Masterman. My mom is Lorene Masterman from Togiak. My grandparents are the late Emma and Dan Nanaluk, also from Togiak. My father is Robert Masterman, and his side of the family is from Maine.
Cool. This first question, I kind of took inspiration from your speech. What or who is your biggest inspiration during your studies?
It would have to be, I think, knowing my people, knowing Yupik people deserve better when it comes to healthcare, I think, was kind of the thing that would keep me going. Like during some really tough days, days where I was just like slammed with homework, get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep or things like that, where it was just like getting really tough. I would just think about like, someday I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to be interacting with Yupik people every day, and I'm going to be able to see them, and I'm going to be able to know I'm making a difference. And I think that that was a really big inspiration for me. But also, like, kind of in addition to that, I had my partner Glenn. I also mentioned him in my speech. He was a really big inspiration to me. He comes from a really hardworking family, and he was also getting his degree. He was a year ahead of me, so he graduated a year ahead of me, and I think that that was a really big inspiration for me too. Just seeing how hard he worked to get his degree, and him also working a job while getting his degree, and so I think that that also really inspired me.
Oh, that's awesome. What are you getting your degree in?
So I already got my degree.
Oh, what is your degree in, I guess?
My degree is a Bachelor of Science in Biological Sciences, and I minored in Yupik.
Very cool.
Oh, cool. Did you go to school here in Alaska?
Yeah, I went to UAF. In high school, I did a few classes at UAS that counted towards my degree, but the majority of it was at UAF.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And congrats on your Marie Paul Student of the Year Award. That's probably a very big honor.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell the audience a little bit about your involvement in extracurriculars at school?
So the first club that I was involved with on campus was, I think it's called Native Games.
Okay, yeah.
It was like NYO, but for people who aren't youths.
Yeah.
I did that for a bit. I think that that was like my sophomore year, and I met some people who introduced me to Inyupak, which is, like, that's a combination of the words Inyupak and Yupik. And they are a dance group that does Inyupak and Yupik dances.
Cool.
So I also joined that, like, that was also the end of my sophomore year. And beginning of my junior year, they had officer elections. I was the only person who was nominated for president. I got it. So I stuck with it as a president and also a member. I was there. I danced and I sung and I enjoyed it until I graduated. And then also in addition to that, I was part of beading club. I think that also started around the same time, end of my sophomore year. I should say all of this started at the end of my sophomore year because I started college my freshman year, 2020, like right after lockdown, August of 2020. And so there was like nothing up until the end of my sophomore year. So once everything opened up, I was like, okay, now's my chance. So I also joined beading club, similar story. Junior year, they had officer elections. I was the only person nominated for president. So stuck with it as president and as a member until I graduated.
Why do you think it's important for students to be involved in programs like yourself?
Yeah. So I guess speaking on kind of my personal experience, it was really important for me to get involved because of lockdown. And I'm sure that my story is very similar to a lot of other students. Like, I started college in 2020 during lockdown, and it was literally just me and my partner, Glenn. He was the only person on campus that I knew. He was the only person that I saw day in and day out. He was, like, really the only person I interacted with. Like, they were still keeping, like, the social distancing in place, and labs, like in-person labs, they cut the size in half. So they're supposed to be, like, 3-hour labs. They cut the class size in half, and they had you come in for an hour and a half. And so, like, you're just getting all over, like, less human interaction that had effects that I'm still dealing with. So being able to join clubs on campus and, like, seeing people face to face and, like, having that human interaction that genuinely saved me in so many different ways. I mean, like, it helped my academics, like, it helped me socially and emotionally and mentally, just in, like, be able to continue with my studies and stay on campus. And again, like, I think that my situation is very similar to other people. It's like, I come from a big family. Like, I come from places where community is so important, and interacting with people in that way is so important. It's just, like, a part of everyday life. And so, like, having that taken away was really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
So I really jumped at the opportunity to get that back.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Do you have a project or achievement that you're most proud of?
I think what I'm most proud of is, and I guess to give a little bit of backstory, my college advisor, her name's Andrea Bursman, Dr. Andrea Bursman. I love her. She's amazing. She was specifically my science advisor. She recruited me to help restart the Pre-Health Society program, which was a club for pre-health students. I had her for maybe like 2 years-ish, 3 years maybe. So I feel like we got to know each other pretty well. And towards the end of my senior year, when I was getting ready to apply for medical school, she offered me a job. She said something along the lines of, like, she thinks that I would be a good fit for this job, thinks that I can do it well, and having, like, my background being a Yupik person could really help me. And I interviewed and I got the job.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm now working as a project manager for an NIH-funded project looking to address food insecurity in the YK Delta. And I think, like, thinking, and it wasn't like one huge moment where I was like, wow, that's amazing. But I think just thinking back on it and thinking about how she must have seen something in me to know that I could take on such a big job, seeing, like, the values that I could bring to the table, I think that makes me feel pretty proud and pretty good.
Congratulations on that. That's amazing, and what a good cause to be working toward. You kind of shared a little bit, but what else is next for you? I know you mentioned, like, being a doctor. Do you aspire to be a doctor?
Yeah. So that was my original plan. Senior year, I took the MCAT. I reached out to everybody for letters of recommendation. I was getting ready to start my personal statement. And like I said, my advisor, she offered me this job. And I felt like I could not pass it up. When I told my partner and my friends at the time when I got offered this job, they were like, this sounds like this job was created for you. And so I took it. I've been working this job since May 7th, just a few days after graduation. So I plan to work this is through YKHC, the hospital in Bethel. Plan to work at YKHC probably for the next, like, 2 to 3 years, 3 years maximum. And then after that, apply to medical school.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. Before we go, Do you have any advice that you'd give to other shareholders or descendants that are students?
Yeah, definitely. And this kind of relates back to what I was saying earlier, is get involved. I definitely, for a time, I got comfortable being by myself, but I think in the long run that could do a lot more harm than good, especially if me, like you, grew up with a big family, with a big community and doing things like that, or you're kind of more outgoing. Definitely push yourself to get out there and find some really good people, and emphasis on the good. I've definitely had my run-ins with some people, but just try your best to build your net, build your safety net, especially if you're in college. During those tough times, it can get really, really tough, and just having that network of people with you on campus, supporting you, loving you, being there for you, it makes a world of difference.
I love that. That's such good advice. Well, thank you so much, Robin, for joining us. And thank you for sharing. I know this will definitely touch a lot of our audience.
Yeah,
so
I hope so.
Thanks again, and congrats again on your award.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me here.
Up next is our Citizen of the Year award. This award recognizes an individual who has demonstrated leadership and made significant contributions to the Bristol Bay region. And for the 2024 awardee, it is Helen Gregorio. Welcome, Helen. Thank you so much for being here and joining us virtually. And congratulations on your award.
Thank you.
Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, I'm Helen Gregorio. I was born and raised in Togiak to Dan and Emma Nanalook. And then I'm second oldest of 16 children. I lived in the Anchorage area for about 20 years, and I moved back here in 93, and I've been here since.
Awesome. What do you do for work?
Currently, I am project coordinator for starting an emergency shelter for victims of crime.
I would also like to say congratulations for being Citizen of the Year. That's very exciting. And my first question for you is, what motivates you to get involved in your community?
What motivates me mostly is the people, especially the children. Well, actually, I guess it's everybody. I work a lot with, in my other job, I worked as a community health representative, so I did a lot of activities with children, did a lot of presentations at the school, and then I traveled to 2 other villages and did the same thing. So I really enjoyed that, talking to kids. And then elders, I just enjoy listening to them, learning from them. And we did a lot through my work as tribal court clerk in the past. And we learned so much from how the way of our people, they covered everything. The most important thing I got out of that was we need to learn our teachings, how we were taught. And I always go back to how our parents taught us. Those were our beginning. And whether we follow them or not, like everything else, will affect our life in the future.
Well, it sounds like the community of Togiak is lucky to have you. And you didn't mention this because it sounds like you're humble. But you're fluent in both English and in Yupik. And I know that you serve as council member for your tribe and board member on lots of boards and communities that serve the region. Is that right?
Yeah. Currently, I'm not on any council, but I'm on a couple boards. One for actually the school district and the other one for SAFE in Dillingham.
Our next question is, what does being awarded the Citizen of the Year mean to you?
It's very humbling to be thought of so highly. I was thinking of all the villages and all the shareholders, however many BBNC has, and to be selected is very humbling and at the same time honored. I am so honored to be thought of that way.
Aw. What advice would you give to other shareholders that want to be more involved in their own communities?
Well, I was thinking of that question and I thought back in my life, and now that I'm older and looking back, I think of all the things that my parents taught me and instructed and modeled. And, you decide for yourself how you're going to use that. And the other big thing was, once upon a time, I was involved with Beauty for Ashes with South Central Foundation. And that's a program that helps you look at your childhood and the lens that you put on to look at how the world is. It made me understand myself, the reason why I say and do the things I do using that lens. And some of it had to be corrected, some of it was in my life, but for a person to be able to help others, no matter who it is, they need to have a good sense of who they are and where they came from and where they're going. That's my life in a nutshell.
You talked about learning from your parents and learning from elders. Is there any advice that you've received from either your parents or elders in your community that sticks out to you?
I think one of the things that, we do a program called Wellness Circle of Life for the work that I'm doing now. And it's kind of the same about talking about the teachings of our people. A lot of that was lost because of all the things that our people have gone through. But some of us are still living it and being able to go back and look at that, address it. And the one thing that I think sticks out to me is my mom's, even though she didn't verbally say, I'm going to teach you about tufqatiyakak, about caring, about sharing. She modeled it. And I go back to, we had a big family and she was baking bread all the time. And behind our house, an old man lived there and he was blind. And every time after she baked bread, she would tell us, go bring this to that old man. And looking back now, I look at that and think of caring and sharing and thinking of other people. I think that's the big aha I've had of my childhood.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that.
That's so good. I think there's a lot that we can learn from our parents and our elders as long as we watch them and listen to them. Thanks for sharing that. Is there anything that you would like to leave with our audience before you go?
So much. But I guess the bottom line is look at yourself, fix yourself, then you'll be able to share and care for other people like they need to be cared and shared with.
That's some good wisdom. Well, Helen, thank you so much for being on our podcast, and congrats again on your Citizen Award. Just talking to you for this short time, I think is a really big testimony of why you have won the award. And you're full of so much knowledge. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Last but definitely not least is our Elder of the Year award. And this award goes to an elder who goes above and beyond for the Bristol Bay region. And the 2024 award went to Pauline Hobson. Welcome, Pauline.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Shishida, Pauline Hobson, Pauline Zakar Hobson, Iji. Khandalditsen, Dina ina Iji. Nuvendal tun Shugush Kaya Kilanda. Idi shunta kutan kat nagaluda. Kijere sayach shugu yishtuda kurugu. Anchorage shugu yishtuda rezita. Stutagela Paul Zakar Sr. Shuntagela Nastasia Waseli Zakar. Shkun Gela Steve Hobson Jr., aka Butch. Chkaina Daryl, Steve, Jennifer, Donovan. I have 9 grandchildren and 3 great-grandchildren. I just said that my name is Pauline Vera Zakar Hobson. I'm from Nandalton, New Vindaltoon, lake that extends below. And I live in Owl Bluff now, and this winter I'm going to live in Anchorage. Shtutarela Paul Zakar Sr. Shuntarela Nastasia Waseli Zakar. My father's name is Paul Zakar Sr. My mother's name is Nastasia Waseli Zakar. Nastasia was from Lime Village, and Paul Zakar Sr. was from Old Ilyamna. He was born in Polly Creek on Cook Inlet.
Well, to start, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your extensive years serving Bristol Bay in language and being a part of the community. How do you stay active and engaged in the community, especially as an elder?
Okay, I get out of bed in the morning and wash up. My mom always said, wash up as soon as you get up and face the east and pray to Naktoltani and thank him for giving you breath. So we say, Naktoltani Tsakal Shichkilan Chinan. I said, thank you, God, I still have breath in me. So we thank God for the day and ask him to bless us. And we pray for the family. We pray for people who are sick and suffering with the deadly diseases. We pray that God will help them. And the alcohol and drugs that people are suffering with, that God will help them if they ask, to be helped. Pray for parents, godparents, and godchildren. Prayer is very strong. We have to do it every day. Daily chores, we have to have that done, especially out in the village. It's part of survival. You won't survive the night if you didn't bring in your wood. Mm-hmm. Your stove will go out if you didn't carry water, bring your water in. You'll run out of water before the night's over, or you have to do your daily chores every day. Still love to do it. Carry water, chop wood, bring in the wood, harvest all the animals and foods, fish, berries, vinik for inlay, medicinal plants, harvest moose. I still love to go hunt moose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like to trap beaver. This last moose hunt I went on was very sad. I went with my son Stevie up in Chalitno River. I cried all the way up the river and back, just remembering each bend and camping places the moose said, because I always went hunting with my husband and he passed, so I had some memories around every bend up that river. And the moose said, I'm not giving myself to that woman. She's a crybaby. Yeah. I guess that's why we didn't get moose. I still love to get wood, chop wood, carry wood. Not too much anymore carrying wood. I love to drive four-wheeler, motor, snow machine, dogs. The last time I drove dogs was 12. I hitched up 12 dogs and drove 12 dogs and went out on the men's race course. And then I went about halfway and it got too cold. And I started freezing, getting too cold. I couldn't hang on the sled anymore, so I was going to turn around. And just when I was turning around, my husband came and he said, what are you doing out here? I'm driving dogs. He said, you get on that snow machine and go home. He said, I'll drive the dogs home. I wanted to drive the dogs home, but he drove them because he said I was too cold. I couldn't hang on the sled anymore. And but that's the last time I drove dogs. I love to learn how to speak Dineena every day. My husband and I, Steve or Butch, practice traditional way of life and speaking the Dineena language every day. That's the only way I could learn, is to try to speak it every day, or whatever we were doing. I just started the steam bath. And then whatever we do for the day, we try to speak it in our language. We practice daily phrases every day. And I kept a journal for 24 years when I started learning with Mary Hobson, my mother-in-law. She was my mentor. So I'd keep a journal. Whenever I learned something new, I'd write it down. Or whatever happened that day, what the weather was, or whatever happened that day, I'd write it down. And this winter, I'm going to type up my journal. Wow. That I kept for 20 years. Just what I was learning and the stories I heard from my mother-in-law and Steve. They had a lot of stories.
Pauline, were you raised with the Dineena language, or did you learn it later in life?
I was raised with it.
Mm-hmm.
My parents spoke the language at home, but they didn't stress that I speak the language because English was more important. My older sisters and brothers were punished for speaking their language in school, so they didn't stress that I speak the language. So I didn't learn to speak. I could understand everything, but it wasn't stressed that we speak at home because English was more important. They didn't want us to be punished for speaking our language.
Well, Dina'ina I know is not an easy language to learn. I've seen it written out before, and I don't think it's an easy language to learn. So kudos to you for, learning your language and also teaching it to everyone around you and for keeping that alive. So thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to record the junior dictionary. My uncle Albert Waselli wrote the junior dictionary, and he has some phrases in there that I'm going to just record that junior dictionary so people can practice. Steve was a sled builder and he built snowshoes too. So I took picture of him step by step making the sled and the snowshoes. So I'll develop those pictures, and I don't know if I'll write down how to build a sled. I was gonna do it in his words, but we never got the time. I lost my pictures for about a year and found it, and now I have to publish those pictures and try to write his story on how he built sleds and snowshoes.
So that knowledge isn't forgotten.
Mm-hmm. I went to a mountain squirrel camp, and that was fun. We got to skin the mountain squirrel, tan it. We made the snare to snare the mountain squirrel out of feathers, and we got 5 mountain squirrels and cooked it over the fire.
Wow. What did you make out of the squirrel?
We just learned how to sew it.
Okay.
How to sew the skin so it'll be waterproof. Yeah. It was about 3 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
When we did research on mountain squirrels. And then we found a lady that she traps mountain squirrels and she'll skin them and tan it and sew.
Wow.
She'll make parkas or whatever.
Yeah. How did the squirrel taste?
Good,
Yeah.
delicious. It's like chicken.
Yeah.
It was very delicious.
Mm.
That was the last camp I was at. But I love culture camps.
Yeah.
Kids learn so much. They're like a sponge. They just absorb, what we're teaching them.
Yeah.
They never want to go home when it's time to go home. They want to stay at camp. They just love their learning,
Yeah.
making a net, from making a net to napping to make the arrowheads to making a net so you can. We're still working on it. It's going to take us another maybe 5 more years to work on that net. But out of spruce roots too, you can make a net.
Wow.
Show the kids how to make like a dip net out of spruce roots. We call it honkalashi. Once they dry, they're really strong.
Wow, I had no idea.
You can
Totally.
make a dip net out of spruce roots.
Yeah. Totally living off the land.
Yeah, just using what's
Yeah.
provided to you.
Yeah.
No plastic.
I love, Pauline, that you're an elder, but you still do all of these cool things. You snow machine, you go hunt moose. Like, a lot of the times us younger generation will go do those things to give back to our elders. But you're kind of like, I can do it myself.
Yeah.
I love that. I hope to be half as active as you are when I'm an elder.
Chinan.
What advice would you give to the younger generations?
The advice I would give to the younger generation is find yourself, respect who you are. There is no one else like you. We are unique. That means there's no one else like us. Take care of yourself. That means take care of yourself. That when elders say that to you, that means to take care of yourself. Be healthy.
Yeah.
And feed your traditional foods to your children, your grandchildren. They need to get used to that food, especially the good food. Be proud of who you are. Dina'ina ishlanshida. I am Dina'ina. Kache ishlanshida. Kache is the name of my clan. I am Kache. And be proud of it. Because if you know who you are, you will have a good life. You know your Dina'ina ishlanshida. You know everything about Dina'ina. The history, the people that lived the Dina'ina traditional way of life. And to hear stories about them and hear the stories of respect that we grew up with, because it's supposed to teach us respect for each other. I also wanted to say I love to be outside with nature.
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened to silence lately? Go into the woods, listen, break a dry twig, look, feel the joy of being respected. Yakachkod nasan, leave it as it is. That didn't end away, leave no trace. Didn't even know you were there.
Oh.
You know, when they were doing the pebble mine, they were saying, you know, we gotta find some kind of trace that you're using that land. There's no kind of trace that you're using that land. I said, we don't leave a trace. When we pitch our tent and we put our poles away, we stack our poles up in the trees so they'll stay dry. People can use it. If it doesn't rot away, they can use it again. But they wanted to find, you know, traces that we used the land. They couldn't find any. Maybe an old gasoline can that we used to feed our dogs or cook something in.
Mm-hmm. Our next question is, what legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Like I said, love each other, live, take care of your family, love your family, love each other. That means take care of yourself. Respect each other. Especially respect Naktaltani. He's our creator. He's the reason why we're here. Keep the fire burning. What I did was found a fireplace, and the fire was out. I dug around in the ashes and found a spark. I blew on that spark. Then I put nichil, that birch bark, on that spark and blew. Now there's fire. And I put the dry limbs. The dry limbs are the Dinan language, the words, teaching it to the kids.
That's good.
Yeah, I love that. I'm soaking up all your advice, Pauline, and I hope our audience is too, because very good advice for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Pauline, did you have anything else that you wanted to add or leave with our audience?
Visit one another, especially if you know someone's lonely.
Well, Pauline, that's all the questions we have. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom, sharing about subsistence life, sharing about living off the land. I know for me and for Kayla, this has just been a great experience, and I know for our audience it will be as well. So thank you so much. Before we go, I want to give a big shout out to our 2024 BBNC Shareholders of the Year and just say congratulations and thank you so much for joining us today. On behalf of BBNC, we are all so proud of you. And with that concludes our episode. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you next time.
We are one Bristol Bay, no matter the distance. From simple reminders of home to traditions and stories passed down through elders. From the salmon that nurture and sustain us to our Bristol Bay roots that ground us. We are connected through this remarkable place and our native way of life. Bristol Bay Native Corporation, always more than a corporation.